Hey guys, Aaron here again. Today I am with my buddy Evan and we're gonna work on his 2018 M2. I'm gonna let him talk about the parts that we're gonna add to his car and let him discuss why he decided to do them. And then we're gonna step through the process of how to actually install them. So if you're interested in these parts, you'll be able to do it yourself.
I'm Evan here with Aaron to work on my M2. Today we're going to be installing two parts, the Turbo Smart blow-off valve and the MST Turbo Inlet Pipe. Decided to go with these parts to beef up the factory internals with the recent tune that I got. Should allow for more reliable boost delivery and lower the risk of parts blowing up with the increased boost.
All right, so where did you actually get these parts from?
I got these parts from Keys Motorsports, KIES Motorsports. They were great to work with, answered all my questions, so definitely recommend them for these parts. I haven't seen them anywhere else online actually, so
it's the only place to get them.
Yep, at least that I found. So
all right, so what are we gonna install first?
So probably both, since they're both around the same spot. The directions that I've read for the blow-off valve recommend that you go through the inlet pipe to get to it. So probably in the process of taking things out, we'll be able to get to the blow-off valve, install that, and then on the way back out, install the inlet pipe, from what I understand.
Awesome, sounds great. And now are these for the N55 engine only?
Yes.
All right, so if you have an N55, you can do these.
Yep. There is a couple different versions of the blow-off valve for the N55. I ended up purchasing the one that listed that it was specifically for the N55 M2 and the X3 M40i. There are a couple other versions that say they work with the N55, but I'm not sure which specific application they're for.
Ah, cool. Well, my wife has an X4 M40i, so maybe I'll look into this afterwards.
Yeah.
All right, so one of the first things we're going to do is lift the car. So I have some QuickJacks, so we're going to make use of those and get the car up in the air a little bit. Before I lift it all the way up, we're going to go ahead and remove the engine cover and some other stuff in here. This thing just lifts right up. Nice decoration.
Yeah.
All right, he just came from an hour and a half away, so things are hot, so we're cooling it off. He's gonna go under and go ahead and remove the panels from underneath. They're all held on by these little 8mm screws. Doesn't seem like it needs as many screws as it has to hold it in place.
Yeah. Oh. There's screws in these holes. And it just falls on your head.
These are 16mm. You can just go ahead and loosen them up by hand, and then you can use that ratchet to take them all the way off. Okay, so after you slide under the car here, I'm going to show you where this thing is. We've been under here investigating and figuring out an approach. So you can see that this thing right here is the water pump, and there's like a little S-shaped hose that you can pull out of the way a little bit with your hand. And through the middle here, you will see this thing, and you can see right here where this arrow is one of the 3 bolts you're going to have to remove. And it looks like it's going to be pretty difficult to get to. So we're reading some suggestions online, and they talk about removing the bolts to this water pump bracket right here to help slide it out of the way and give you some room. So that's definitely an option. Some people are recommending coming from the top a little bit.
Yeah, there's a top screw in there that's pretty tricky to get to. Some people have taken off the strut mount, the intake, come in through the top and replace the inlet pipe, which we're trying to do anyway. So we'll likely need to come in from this direction as well and knock those pieces out.
All right, so I guess we can start by removing those two things.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take all of these off because one of these clips to remove our air intake is hidden under this thing. I can see these clips. I got a 6mm here. Just loosen that up so you can disconnect this. And then there's a couple plugs we got to unplug over here. Oh yeah, and this thing, did that just pop off?
I think. Yeah, it probably squeezes through the rubber gasket.
It separates.
Ooh, this probably.
You squeeze in on that thing with it, where those little plastic grooves are. Those things are a pain to squeeze in enough.
Mm-hmm. It feels like
they make a weird angle where you gotta get one on the top and one on the bottom. Right.
And then that just clips there. Right, that's just a little clip. Looks like it should pop
Yeah, I
off.
think you push in on this piece right here.
I see that lifting.
These usually frustrate me long enough to me using a little screwdriver and then I break it somehow.
There we go.
It's another clip. I got 3 of them.
Yeah. That was the hardest one when I swapped out
4th clip back there.
intake. Much easier.
Little pressure fit. So this piece here that we are replacing is this thing here. So we're gonna get it out of the way and help us to get down there. And our connection here, you can see over here, and it runs up to the top of the engine right here. So the next step in taking this thing off, if you look down here and I wiggle this, you can see, if I zoom in down here, that is supposedly a 10mm bolt that is holding this tube on that comes right up here. So we're gonna go ahead and try to get down to that. All right, after a lot of trial and error, we are trying to unscrew this bolt down here that we have decided is a 20mm. Try to show you my tool in that bolt. So unfortunately, I only have a 1/2 inch T20 somehow, and I have a regular extension and a short extension coming all the way over to the ratchet over here. So I'm holding it in and unscrewing it. So I have to hold the ratchet with one hand so that I can make it click. All right, that is what you're looking for. Whew, okay, that was not fun, but we got it out. This is the tool that I fashioned to get it out.
Well, he said there's a clip on there as well.
All right,
I don't know.
We have to find a clip. All right, guys, this is where I start getting a little frustrated with some of the videos that I've come across online when they say that there is a clip down here that you have to figure out. So let me pause the video here for a second and just point out a couple things. I'm recording this with my endoscope. I found right here where this arrow is where the T20 is that we just removed, and in the foreground here there is a connector that you're going to need to disconnect, but I was in here searching for a clip that people keep calling it. Okay, now let me show you from another angle. Here you can see that this is the 5mm bolt that they were talking of before, and this little plastic bracket here is, I think, what they were calling the clip, but it's really just a bracket. And if I pause it here, you can still see the 5mm a little bit here, and right around here is where we took out that T20. So the little plastic bracket is just what the 5mm bolt attaches to hold that firmly against the side to hold it in place. So here is another angle, and you can see again where we took out the T20, and this is the connector that we have to disconnect. So we used this camera again to get a screwdriver down there and try to unclip it so that we could remove the connection. And here I moved the camera around to another angle. You can see the 5mm again, and next to it is that electrical connector. Or you can see the little tab that you have to unclip to get this connector off. So we just fished around for a while with the screwdriver. We tried to fashion a couple different things, but eventually the screwdriver turned out to be the best option. You can see we just started brute forcing it because we got frustrated, snapped off the outer tab, but eventually worked the screwdriver in and we were able to push the connector off. All right, next we have to find a way to get to that 10mm bolt that you saw in the last video.
It's coming out.
Okay, the battle for the 10mm is upon us.
It is.
What's up, shop dog?
See what's in here.
Are you gonna come eat, Evan?
He's nice. He smells okay.
I keep getting it on there and then going to twist it and then it just falls off.
So Evan may be spending the night with us.
Really? There's a bedroom upstairs.
All right, common sense prevailed. We figured out just to use a little wrench, and then you can stick it straight down there and get it on there. And with a little ratcheting wrench, you can at least get it loose.
Yeah, it's definitely loose.
Hopefully we can turn it by hand. Oh yeah, I can just turn it by hand.
Cool.
Yeah, so forget all those crazy swivel sockets. Now if I can get this out with 2 fingers once it's out without dropping it down there, that will be a big win. The good news is that a blind person should also be able to accomplish this because we've not been able to see anything that we've worked on so far.
I think you're at the end.
Got you. Now, take a little extra time. Okay,
Nice.
that's what you've been working on. All right, now that we got that 10mm out of the way and the T20, we should be able to use a screwdriver and just pry this thing off.
It's loose.
What do you think?
Yeah. Though, I mean, you can see the top side is popped off. Not popped off, but
Yeah, I see. Oh, I see where you're separating it here.
I mean, it's definitely moving. It's
Oh,
just,
yeah.
Why is that so difficult?
Okay, so back under the car, there is one 10mm bolt that is holding this tube onto our turbo. Now, once again, this water pump hose is in the way, so if we pull it down, you can see right here that where the arrow is pointing, the little nut that is holding it on, so we can take a ratcheting wrench and stick it in there and undo it.
I guess there's no way to like extend this to make it easier to angle it onto the nut. Oh wait. Oops. I'm just wondering because I think even if I get this on there, I don't know that I'll have enough play to actually move it.
All right, so just a little swivel.
Yes, now this moves.
That is a move. All right, now we have some play with the water pump to get it
Although
not to be in our way.
it seems like there's a top screw on it. It moves a little bit. I don't know that it really moves out of our way though. I can touch it. I just can't get it on Do you have something that I could like clamp to the end of this?
All right, a long 10 millimeter ratcheting wrench is ideal here, but this is our creation.
Sure, no, that's the right.
All right, number 2, some extensions, a swivel, and a 10 millimeter socket.
Have a little bit longer. Maybe that was the trick. Hold on. Finagle it around all these water parts. How nice is that? So I think it's on there. Twisting. I feel like I'm just gonna rip it off.
Might just be a kink in the extension.
Yeah.
I mean, a kink in the swivel that you have to
Right.
power through.
Okay, it's almost there.
Is it loosening?
Yeah, it's loose.
All right.
Maybe pulling it from the top is better.
All right, so in theory, this thing is disconnected now.
Because they made it sound like it just slides out, but
Yeah, it should be pressure fit in there, and then when you pull it towards the front of the car, it should pop out. Supposedly.
it's pretty.
Are you being a nice girl now? No more attacking strangers?
She didn't even follow him.
Yeah, I think you just yank on it, but it's easy to say when it's not my car.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it's going to break anything, but...
There it is. Just gotta get that connection off without breaking that thing.
Oh, yeah. I forgot it was still attached to this tube.
That thing that's also supposed to just pull out.
It's not where I need to go. That is where I need to go.
Should we disconnect it from up here and then maybe we can wiggle it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how it disconnects.
I don't either. I was trying to figure that out. It feels like it twists, but it's weird.
This we definitely want to keep in good condition. Not so much this piece of plastic.
So it looks like this should just pry off, but it's not. Hey, it's off. Okay, so that's just super tight, apparently.
This is all good.
Now with all the extra room in the engine bay, you can hopefully
Oh, I'm gonna move that out of the way.
Is it hooked on there? Those little lines. This thing does not want to come out. Jeez. Wow.
Yeah, it's definitely dragged along something.
So this is what this looks like. Hey, I feel like we did a great job because nobody else on YouTube has one of these that has this one piece.
Oh yeah, that's very true. Yeah, they all just have like the circle.
So that's what it looks like. So with that out, supposedly we can get to that other screw that we're gonna need easier somehow. All right, next we decided to take off the top bolt for the water pump, and from the top it is really easy to see. And you have this thing out of the way. Right down there where the arrow is. So Evan's gonna go from the bottom up here, and I am going to assist from the top. I thought it would be easier from down there, but maybe not. We were trying to overcomplicate it with extensions and stuff, but we just used a 3/8 ratchet. And the size was this?
E14?
The E12. And we got it loose enough that we can take it out by hand now, I think. All right, so Evan is holding the water pump up a little bit from the bottom while I can turn this by hand now. So we just got back from a trip to Harbor Freight where we got these ball head hex socket set, and we're gonna be using the 5mm. Okay, we tried the ball joint action, and what I found to work there was sticking my arm through here. I was able just to take a regular 5mm and get it into the hole, and then I can put my other hand through here. Can you pull that water pump back some? With that water pump loose, you can get a little more room in here. Okay, so you can see just the regular 5mm wrench in here, and I need that to get the leverage to turn this because it was really tight, and with that ball joint one, I could get it to barely catch on the edge of the lip, but it would just slip right out as soon as I put any force on it. So I'm gonna try this method.
The threads don't look like they're in the best condition.
Oof, oh my God, that sucked. That took like half an hour to get that out. And turn it about 7 or 8 rotations by hand with a regular hex key. And then I could use our Frankenstein extension, because even after turning it that many times, it was still too tight for the ball head to work on. Once it finally got loose enough, the ball head worked. Thank God, or it would be an hour and a half job. All right, so you can see where I got the first one from right here, and the other side of this water pump hose. If it will focus, you can see number 2 right here, so I'm gonna work on that one. So we got a strap clamp and just wrapped it around the water pump to pull it up out of the way. So I can get my 5mm hex key on this one. I'm gonna do the old-fashioned hex key way. This one's actually easier to reach than the first one. So I'm gonna turn it by hand until it's loose enough to use the ball joint again. All right, I was able to get the second one out with no problems. Now the third one, you will not be able to see. So I went back to my little machinery camera and we could see it. So Evan tried to stick his hand in while watching on my phone screen what he was doing, and we were able to get that hex socket on the third one, but there is not enough room to maneuver it around to actually turn it anywhere. As you can see, when he does get it in, it's so limited in there that he can't turn it far enough to be able to put the key back in again in another slot. So that approach did not work. All right, here's our contraption. We have a long ball head with a swivel, a couple 3 extensions. And we have our little endoscope thing here. So buy one of these things, they're awesome. So as you can see with the endoscope, we were able to guide this long extension in and see where we were headed and make contact with this. And it did have the strength because it was directly on and not at that much of an angle to actually break it loose. Now, all of our 3 bolts that we got out did have some corrosion on them, and I'm pretty sure that's what made them so difficult. So if yours didn't, maybe the swivel ball joint would have worked for you, but it did not for the other 2 because they were so hard and you'd have to come at such an angle to get them out. But as you can see, we were able to get it in there with this. Man, I don't know how we would have gotten it without this endoscope, but we could see it turn them, and we could see clearly enough that they were actually turning and coming loose as he was doing it. And skipping ahead here to the end, when it finally comes out, you can actually see the piece just dangling there. It pretty much fell out all on its own, and we could just reach in and pull it out, and then it was completely removed. All right, this is the piece that is going to go into our car and this end here with the O-rings. And then the new pipe is going to come over here and there's going to be a clamp. It's going to fit in like that. Here's our clamp that's going to tighten this down. So it's going to be easier than the stock one because we're going to put this in first and use that same 10 millimeter nut. So this is going to go over the little post. The 10 millimeter nut is going to secure that. So we can do that from under the car without it having to be connected to this. Then we can slide this on, tighten this up from underneath the car, and it should be a lot simpler. It needs to go right there. I don't see anything. Yeah, the left part is in more than the right part. Yeah. Because it's going to be sealed by, there we go. Just trying to move. There it goes. Okay, we tried to put that piece in and we couldn't get it to seat all the way in. And I noticed that there was some corrosion on the inside of this, it felt like. So we're going to just use our fingernails and scrape it off and clean it out in there because the bolt that came out for our blow-off valve also had some corrosion on them. So I think that's what's preventing it from going in. Yes, that was it. It didn't feel like there was a lot of corrosion, but as soon as we scraped it off, it slid right in. So if this does not go in, clean that out. Now I'm gonna go ahead and put the nut back on there. Next, we tried to put the bolts for the blow-off valve back in, starting with the top one. I tried to magnetize the tool so that we could attach the bolt to it and just feed it straight in, but it was not strong enough to hold it up as we were fishing it through there. So we used electrical tape and taped the bolt onto the tool so that we could feed it through without it falling off, just leaving the threads exposed. And that actually worked really well. We were able to guide it in with the help of the camera here, and we're able to tighten it all the way. After we got it all the way in, we just pulled the tool out to disconnect it from the tape, and then Evan stuck his hand in there to rip off the excess tape. We weren't able to get all of the tape off, but whoever comes along next is going to find it and probably wonder what was going on down there, but it worked. Okay, next with our tow strap here, we pulled this out of the way to get better access up to the two bolts here, and they were much easier to install without the corrosion on them. And we just used, stuck my left hand up through here and just used the 5 millimeter hex key. All right, at this stage, don't forget to put the top bolt to your water pump back on before you put the tube in there. And you go ahead and put the bottom bolts in as well. All right, so we are just jamming this thing down there. We got this nipple finally bent under here, and we're just using the end of our tools to jam this pipe back over to the right, try to get it under there so it's still caught on some stuff. So yeah, fun. All right, take number 3. I'm trying to get this thing in. It is not fun. We just kind of made sure we pushed some of the wiring out of the way. Seems like a lot of luck and brute force. Oh, so far it's going better than last time. So,
when you were pushing it in, I was pushing this side.
Yes.
To steer it the right way.
We have a handy tool with just a bunch of extensions to push on the bottom of the pipe. Just keep it towards the center of the car. There we go. Edged it over some. Oh, look at that. I think that's in the right spot now. From underneath, I guess we will try to slide it on over the collar. All right. Oh, you got it on. Look at that from above. Very nice. All right.
Need to get the collar over.
Slide the collar down. Can you slide it from there?
Yeah. Push it.
And this is why the setup of it is important. So it can be facing right down here so we can reach it. And we decided this was a 8mm?
Yes.
All right, so I'm gonna tighten that now. All right, after working on this, we decided we pulled this back off and flipped around this clamp. And you can see the head of it is over here, so we can go straight up and get to it. When it was facing the other way, the head of it was hitting against the side of the blow-off valve, so it couldn't get as close to the edge as it is now, and it was too far off to the right. So by placing it this way, the head doesn't interfere with the blow-off valve, and it can slide underneath the blow-off valve and get a lot more clearance back there. Twist the metal.
Silver piece, I undid the clamp, but it's not lined up to where that
Where the screw goes.
yeah.
And then for the fourth attempt, we're gonna try to get this in there. So the last time we put it in, this piece was not aligned for the hole for the screw. So we think we measured and turned that to the orientation it needs to be. We're gonna try again. And also, before putting it back in, we learned that we're gonna try to go ahead and plug this connector back in.
No.
So hopefully we can finagle the pipe through there with it connected, do you think? We'll see. All right, we're gonna try to maneuver it around the wire that we clipped in to see if that's possible. It's hitting straight into this tube right here.
Oh yeah, okay.
So you rotated that wire around that way, then, so it'll go over it. All right.
I think we might need to push on this side.
I'm gonna take this and push.
Space.
And it's going.
Oh, cool. It's already going on the thing.
Oh, yeah. That's better. There's our screw lined up.
Let's see if I can get it on the... I don't think the screw holes line up though.
Yeah, it looks like our screw hole is still a little off on this. We got to the very last step. There's just one tiny screw that goes in the back there, but it's super hard to reach and it's really small. All right, everything is buttoned back up. I think it is a success. So now we'll fire it up here in a minute and make sure it doesn't make any weird noises.
Yeah.
Okay, here's the live test. Sounds good. No warning lights. Success. All right, this is the retrospective. It is now the next morning and I am sore. Just wanted to cover a few more things. First of all, the time it took, it was expected to take around 3 hours. That's what Evan thought from watching some other videos and seeing some information on some forums. Actual time, 10 hours. He left here at 11 o'clock last night. And that is why my garage still looks like this. So lots of tool cleanup still to do today. So lots of people said that this isn't hard, it's just time consuming and tedious. I guess I would kind of agree with that, but to me that makes it hard. There were lots of weird little screws and angles that were really hard to get to and just took a lot of time to do very manually. I assume a car shop probably removes a lot more stuff than we did so they can get to these places a lot easier. But the only thing that we didn't really get done right was that very last screw that I showed you here. We never found a way to install it, and since it was 11 o'clock already, we decided to put a little tape on it and let him drive home. He reported back that he got home fine, no issues. I assume he's probably gonna take it somewhere and have them drop it in for him. But what you guys should do, and what I would recommend, is attach that little hose with that screw before putting it in. And in order to do that, you have to remove it from the top of the engine. And we could never figure out how to do that. I'm sure it's really easy. If anybody knows how to do that, please put it down in the comments to help somebody else out. But if you do that ahead of time, it should not be a problem, and we would have done it all correctly. As with any video on my channel, I'm always upfront and tell you that I've never done this before. Do it at your own risk, and I do show you all of the things that go well and the things that go wrong to help you learn. I find that watching videos where they show you what they've already done and just explain it to you is not nearly as helpful as showing you all the wrong ways that they edited it out, didn't work, and don't show you the pieces that did work. So hopefully in that respect, this video has been helpful to you. So please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and there will be lots more BMW content coming. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.